The names of notable Unitarian Universalist women who worked to get women the vote are easily recognizable. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Margaret Fuller, and Lucy Stone. So why do a presentation on a lesser-known Olympia Brown, you might ask? Well, it is true, the first female Universalist minister, Reverend Olympia Brown, is not as well known as the others. Perhaps it was because she was uncompromising with people who disagreed with her. She often worked alone, and as she put it, on her own hook to gain the national vote for women. But why do a piece on someone who's over 90 years old? Because her life has bearing in the present. An obituary in the Baltimore Sun reported, "An ardent spirit passes. Olympia Brown carried through her long and active life the dauntless courage and the mental freshness of the frontier environment whence she came." Olympia's dream of women and men standing together equally is not over. The fight for women's rights is ongoing. Chalice Players is proud to present A Universal Journey.
Please know that we will ask our highest spirit to guide us and protect us from any negative energy. We are here to listen and to learn.
When is a fight finally over? When are dignity and liberty finally won? You be the judge. I vow to win a victory for humanity. There were many battles along the way, too many to even be remembered. Are we there yet? That is the younger me, Olympia Brown, in my 20s, with my younger sister, Oella. We left our farm in Michigan back in 1854 to attend Mount Holyoke Female Seminary, and we had convinced our father that we could make more money in the city if we had more education.
Dear Mother, we eat wholesome, nutritious food here. Toast with molasses, hominy, roast beef or codfish. We even keep warm with our very own Franklin stove. And Oella and I no longer have to go to the basement for water because they installed something called a dumb waiter. Brings it up all the way to the second story for our sponge bath. But Oella and I need more than sustenance, warmth, and water. We need to challenge our minds. We want to experience more than reading about the great Greek and Roman orators. So we started a literary society to debate, give readings, practice public speaking, and I'm happy to report that we conducted an excellent public debate, which made us feel like we were doing something meaningful. Then we were informed our group had to be disbanded. The faculty stated that the antagonism between the sisters was both dangerous and indefensible. Just because we spoke with strong conviction, they thought we were actually angry at each other instead of engaging in discourse, debate. They said it made us too independent. How can an institution of higher learning have such narrow-minded instructors, such outdated standards?
Well, now I'm so angry and frustrated, I could just spit. But we've discussed this before. I think it's time we went to a group.
Oh, they call it a seance. Those spiritualists seem to come from another sphere. I just can't say how long we'll be able to stay in such a backward place. Lovingly, Olympia and Oella.
You're always telling me how open you are to different religious beliefs. Well, maybe this group could help us to find a world where women are not treated like helpless children. Besides, we have to do something. I'm going mad here.
There comes to me tonight a spirit who claims that the future can be changed by a soul who doesn't take up much room at the podium. They say her determined face has an intense look.
A woman at the podium?
Shh, quiet.
My guide tells me that a woman named for a great city will crusade through some mighty tough lands. And she will call out for women to be equal to men.
What? Wow.
Shh, quiet so I can hear this information more clearly.
She will parade throughout the land to preach her belief that women need to have education so that their children will become intelligent citizens.
That sure sounds like a message for you.
And she will vote before she dies.
What? Wow.
Yes,
Oh.
she will vote before she dies. She will proclaim the equality of all people, no matter their sex, no matter their color, no matter their background.
Outstanding.
Yes.
And to attain the vote, she will become an ordained minister.
Oh. Oh.
Shh. I never thought of that.
I see not one but 3 churches where she will preach. They tell me that there are many, many people to come into her life from these houses of worship. Some will help and some will hinder. But the enlightened ones will keep her safe on her journey westward.
Westward. Could you repeat that?
Westward. Not to fear. They tell me. Yes. They tell me that there will come a time when women will rise up and they will be involved in everything. But Universalists will join with a group from Transylvania. That's much fun. Oh my goodness. Oh, wait! I see a multitude of people. Why, they appear to be all women. There's a fire at the base of the statue, and I can faintly hear singing, but I cannot make out what it is.
Westward?
I can say no more. However, the spirits convey blessing upon her. They say that she needs to continue her work on behalf of all people. That's why she was brought into this earth, and she will not leave until she has accomplished her goal.
The path to becoming a minister was a lonely one.
Dear Oella, I miss you terribly. But I believe coming to Antioch was the right decision. Horace Mann, the college founder, said, "Be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity." He should listen to his own advice. Our English professor told us that for our assignments of orations, the men will be required to give speeches, but the women must carry their manuscripts and read from them. Don't you know, I brought my manuscript and never unfurled it, speaking every word from memory. And my next essay will be about equality of the sexes and discrimination in education. I remember asking Aunt Pamela about why Uncle Nathan never wrote about the hundreds of slaves they helped to freedom when he wrote his autobiography. She said she guessed he plain forgot about it. After all, he didn't do any of the cleaning, cooking, or washing. I said he could have at least given her credit. She said, Olympia, women get very little credit for what they do in this world. So many wrongs in this country to be rectified. I know now what I need to do. Always, Olympia.
In 1861, with the Civil War spreading, I began sending out requests to attend theological seminaries with little to no response. St. Lawrence Theological School replied in a lukewarm manner, so I packed my bags and went off to Canton, New York. It proved to be the school I've been waiting to attend. However, 2 years later, I was still waiting to be ordained. I will never forget the day that I took matters into my own hands.
Oh, come in, Miss Brown. Mrs. Fisher and I are just sitting down for tea.
Oh, thank you, but I would rather stand. President Fisher, when you accepted me as a transfer from Antioch 2 years ago, I told you I was serious about being willing to die to win a victory for humanity. Why did you accept me if you did not want to grant me an ordination?
I felt you were impulsive in that opening letter. I wrote back to dissuade you, but you showed up anyhow. I felt I could not send you all the way back to Michigan without giving you a chance to prove yourself.
Which I have done. Oh, when I heard Miss Antoinette Brown preach, I knew women could give strong sermons. I'm just anxious to follow in her footsteps.
But you're not ready.
I have practiced during the past 2 summers. Both at Ogdensburg and Wavleton churches, they received me with enthusiasm and gave me positive reports.
Olympia, my dear, I have never discriminated against you in any way, and you know that.
Then why won't you allow my ordination?
I cannot condone your ordination with people writing letters asking, and I quote, "Who would ever want to hear a woman preach?"
President Fisher, it was you who said it was between me and the great head of the church if I was to become a minister. Are you saying God doesn't want me to preach?
Now you're turning my words around. Regarding Ogdenton, a colleague there informed me that your speech was very good, but it could hardly qualify as a sermon.
You're only listening to negative voices. I had a positive response from the people in the church.
And finally, those classmates yowling under my window at night, mimicking your voice, are driving me mad. I'm sorry, but I cannot support your ordination this year.
Well, as the only female on this campus, aside from the faculty wives, I cannot wait any longer. I have no other recourse but to take my argument to a higher level. I'm going to Malone, New York, to the Northern Universalist Association meeting next week and ask for their approval.
How dare you take it over my head?
I won't change my mind. This is Fisher. I'm sorry for my lapse in memory about the existence of women on this campus, and pardon me for interrupting your tea.
Well, you will see the consequences if you ordain her. Next year, there will be 15 women in the class. And then women will flock to
Flocks
the
of women.
ministry. Oh, Ebenezer, you know you have no responsibility to Olympia. If you deny her a pulpit now, the other professors will support you.
Too many students yowling.
On the other hand, you should know the talk. The other faculty wives tell me they think she's brave and spirited. And they say she has a look of determination on her face
She
that
gossips.
engenders
Women's
respect.
chit-chat.
Oh, dear. However, she does break the basic tenets of our esteemed religious beliefs. These tenets should be respected. Uppermost is the one that women are not meant to preach, and you must uphold that tenet at this school.
Abigail, if you would let me get a word in, the faculty has let me know that they do not support her. I have no argument with their wives, but I do wish those women would keep their comments to themselves, just as you should, and let me run this school as I see fit.
Oh, you are in a fine fix now, Ebenezer. She will go to that meeting. Don't say I didn't warn you.
I went to Malone and fought mightily for their support. I was most fortunate that there was one minister who had heard me preach at the Ogdensburg church. He said I held the attention of the entire congregation. But that Malone group got into a heated debate.
The highly contentious vote gave way to my success. I was ordained. After surviving my first obstacle, I faced the fact that few, if any, pulpits were open to women. One minister who admired my sermon advised me to work on my vocal delivery. It seems that my very high-pitched voice, which my fellow students at the theological school made fun of, did not carry to the back of churches easily. I enlisted the help of an elocution teacher to help me project.
Now bring the air into your body and then let it come out naturally.
How now, brown cow?
No, lower, lower. You must bring the air down into your body from deep inside. Try again.
How now, brown cow?
All right, now I want you to practice that by singing out to the hills.
How now, brown cow?
Perhaps you should think about loosening your corset so that you can breathe more normally. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll sound like a wheezing organ.
I was called to give a trial sermon at Weymouth Landing in Vermont. They were a poor congregation and not able to pay much money, certainly not an amount that most men would accept. They accepted me on the belief that they had nothing to lose and I might do some good.
When I improved their Sunday school program so that their congregation grew, they were elated.
I had not been there long when the whole nation was shocked by the assassination of President Lincoln. When plans were made for his memorial service, I faced another denial, this time led by a Lutheran minister.
We agree then. Mr. Smotes will conduct the invocation. Reverend Dillon from the Baptist Church will do the reading. I will preach the sermon, and the good priest from St. Andrews will conduct the closing prayers. I will inform that woman preacher from the Universalist Church that her services are not needed.
We held our own services at Weymouth.
Why don't preachers dwell on God's love when that was such a motivating force behind Christ's teachings? I put my heart in that sermon, and when the day was over, all the church joined in approving my efforts of giving a just tribute to a great president.
And then mercy. I was asked to interrupt my ministerial services to go to Kansas in the summer of 1867 to represent the women's suffrage amendment. I received the invitation from Susan B. Anthony.
I've heard your sermons, Olympia. I know you can hold an audience's attention. I thought of you because we need someone to advocate for us in the Middle States. Kansas people need to be educated about the enfranchisement of women. I'm asking you to make them aware of the movement to get women included in the upcoming amendment coming for a vote in Washington, to make them understand our needs, and to make them feel the change coming.
I'm uncertain if my congregation will release me from my duties for the summer.
Talk to them. Implore them to realize the need is great. Tell them, I will make sure you have a traveling companion and a conveyance to assist you in your journey. Make them understand the importance of women speaking out for their rights.
A conveyance in 1867 meant a coach. It was supposed to meet me after a long train ride. A traveling companion meant an aide. No woman then would travel alone unless she was of ill repute. After I secured a leave from my church and was on my way across the Midwest to the plains, I was faced with two harsh realities. Neither the transportation nor the companion were to appear because the national organization had run out of money. At one stop in Topeka, I was met by Samuel Wood, a rough frontier man who became one of my dearest drivers.
It was lawless here 10 years ago. Pro-slavery men destroying whole towns, killing entire families. Wild country. Indians raiding frontier homesteads, stealing women and children. Look over there. You can still see the burnt out remains of a sod home.
Oh, I'm at your mercy, Sam, if I'm going to stay alive during this ordeal. I was told by a circle of believers once that someone like you would be my saving grace.
That's so. I once saw a man predict the end of the war was coming. But then someone hanged him for stealing a horse. I guess you could say he's a little too lightheaded to see the end of the war.
Well, the dust and air of the open prairie is most inhospitable. The heat sweltering. These 8-hour drives, exhausting. I don't think I can keep up with this schedule. We're going to be arriving late again.
Whoa!
Oh! That was some rut. Perhaps we could find a wagon with better springs next time.
Sorry, ma'am, but don't worry about being late. Everybody gets lost on the prairie. No one expects you to arrive on time. Heck, maybe some don't want you to arrive at all. Here we are coming on Mound City. We'll find your meeting place soon enough.
Go away. Go home. We don't want you here.
They're throwing rocks. Sam, I don't think it's safe to go on.
The Civil War may be over, but the war between men and women is still going on, I figure. Whoa!
Oh!
Whoa. Hold on, Miss Brown. Come on, Cotton, do your job and get us out of here. You'll be around friendlier faces soon enough. You'll see.
That night, I did speak in front of a group of welcoming souls, like Sam told me I would find. Mercy, it was a narrow escape I shall always remember. After I got back to Vermont, I wrote Susan to give her a piece of my mind.
But I was taught to forgive, and I did just that with Susan. When she wrote to offer me another job, this time with a wage, I was greatly surprised. I thanked her, but said I would continue my calling as a minister.
So I returned to Vermont, and 1 year later, I moved to another parish in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Little did I realize that a parishioner and a friend from Weymouth would follow me. John Willis, a newspaper editor, and I had a relationship of equality.
He respected my decision not to take his name. I remained the Reverend Olympia Brown and brought 2 beautiful children into this world. There was a contingent in that church that kept agitating others to get a proper male minister. The congregation voted to continue my ministry by a slim margin, but I realized that was a good time to leave.
As I had been told so many years earlier, I would preach at my third church in Racine, Wisconsin. I was active in local Wisconsin meetings to help support female suffrage. The discussion about how to gain the vote was divided into two factions. One group, called the Political Equality League, believed that states should ratify the vote individually. I stressed the importance of fighting on the national front.
Dear Susan, women should be working together, not opposing one another. It weakens the movement. I believe the young women of Madison are short-sighted when their vote only counts for local educational leaders. I'm starting the National Women's Party to advance our cause in Washington so that women can vote for any person running for office.
Olympia. The National American Women's Suffrage Association is the main driving force. You cannot go your own way and offend these women who've been working so hard and so long for the cause.
Susan, I can and will do it my own way. I cannot condone the lack of backbone in supporting a partial vote. We cannot delay justice for women in the United States any longer.
The death of my husband in 1893 followed shortly, about 3 months later, by the death of my mother. Everything seemed to be careening down around me so quickly. When Susan B. Anthony died, followed by my good friend Susan Bewitch Colby, the editor of the Women's Tribune, I was devastated. The great voices of the National American Suffrage Association were passing before me, and still we did not have the vote.
My darling daughter, Gwendolyn, I'm astounded that some women still agree with President Wilson. The practice of belittling and begrudging any woman's achievements so ingrained that some women even respond without questioning such an unfair attitude. Sad, because our women need encouragement, not criticism. Seems like all my friends are dying. I know you want me to come live with you in Baltimore. And it would be good to be closer to the voting in Congress. President Wilson says that if we want the vote, we'll have to go to our state legislatures for the ballot, but not Congress. He is wrong. We're going to have to take this to the White House to be heard.
With the drums of war beating, as the country prepared to enter the battle with Germany in World War I, the suffragists continued to fight. We began to march in front of the White House daily. Wilson said it embarrassed him to see us demonstrating and ordered us to be removed. I was 82 at the time, and when the thugs attacked us, the police did nothing to stop them.
Instead, it was the women who were taken to nearby jails or to a workhouse in Virginia. But as people read about the harsh treatment of those arrested, including force-feeding women on hunger strike, our numbers grew. More women marched, making us stronger than ever. I'll never forget the sleet and rain coming down on women soaked to their skin as they valiantly held their banners high.
It is highly improper for ladies to march and vote and protest.
Madam, President Wilson's going to France for peace talks because he believes human rights to be preeminent above all other claims. Does that not mean the rights of women?
Ladies are not supposed to be marching in the streets and carrying signs.
What is embarrassing is our supposed position as protector of world democracy when we cannot even boast to have democracy in our own country. We are an aristocracy of sex. It is the meanest aristocracy on the face of the earth. I've been fighting for liberty for 70 years. And I protest the president leaving this country with this old fight here unwon. In civic life, in state, in nation, our vote must weigh as well as man's. In science, art, and education, our brain the same horizon scans. 'Tis equal comradeship we crave. Before our eyes we see outspreading the wide domain of human work. Its arduous heights we do not shirk. Its depths our eager feet are treading. Oh, hear our trumpet call, for you, for us, for all. March on, march on, perfect the plan, the woman with the man.
We burned the president's speeches at the White House gates. Despite this moving act, the Senate voted again to defeat our amendments.
But in 1919, President Wilson finally broke down and began to support the cause. It's uncertain why.
Perhaps it was his wife, or the other congressional wives who turned the tide. Whatever the reason, the House and the Senate both voted to approve the 19th Amendment.
It took another year till August 25th, 1920, before women gained the vote.
On November 2nd, 1920, when I voted, I felt the spirits of my mother, Susan Anthony, and my husband were with me.
It was an exhilarating day because Antoinette Brown Blackwell, the first female minister and my inspiration, voted with me.
When I saw all the crowds of women in all conditions showing up at the polling places to vote, I was elated.
They weren't there to support any particular party, but to help the world.
I know there is a divine light within them that this new experience is revealing. In Oella's memory, let us rejoin the spiritual circle and see what that divine light might reveal.
Reverend Brown will have her words placed on a plaque in the White House rotunda after she is gone.
Yes.
She will be remembered for never giving up on her principles.
Wait, the spiritualist has more to say.
Universalists. Now they will join with a group from Transylvania 50 years later. Yes, they will carry on Brown's belief. And much later, in the new millennium, an entertainer with a limited vocabulary will be elected president? His bird calls late into the night will be his final downfall. And they tell me a man named Stein or Wine or something like that will become the center of a whirlwind about women's rights. And many, many other men will be caught up in that evil wind. And then there's something about a woman. Pray. But I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of that. But women will be excited to march again. Something about hash, or was it a tag? Time's up? Ah, time's up. The spirits are quiet now. Phew, this has been a most exciting day.